We had originally had Bob scheduled to be the first speaker, but then we realized that we wanted to eat lunch before all the food brought up. So, yeah, we switched it up.
We'll talk later, y'all.
While I get this thing set up, I would first like to say, she's not here and she's not on the phone, thanks to Amber Hagedorn, HR over in corporate, for teaching me how to use PowerPoint. Because as of a week ago, I had no idea where I would take this. All right. I want to do some reflections on what we've learned in the last 6 weeks. And for starters, I kind of want to just give you guys a little bit of an introduction as to who I am. You've heard a couple people say that I do a pretty good job of speaking in public, and I do. So, sometimes it's hard to be humble. I was telling them, I was like, well, it's always been easy to me. I don't know why it's always been easy. And I was reminded the other day that when I was 6 years old, my mother would take us kids to the nursing home and make us sing for the elderly people that lived there once a week. And we did that for years. And then when I was 9, my mother, again, forcing us to do things that we're not entirely comfortable with, signed me up for ballet. And yes, I performed in the Nutcracker in the Seattle Opera House. Wow. 2 years. So, kind of get used to it.
I hope you'd have a picture of that.
No, I don't.
Is there going to be a demonstration?
If there were a demonstration, you would understand very quickly why Grace is not my middle name. Right, so I'm a production flow lead at Kent. I've been with the company since February 2011. I have some previous supervisory experience in retail management. And yes, I've been working since the age of 14. I've had a full-time or 2 part-time jobs ever since I was 14. I was able to do that because I actually never went to school. We grew up in western Colorado. And my mother, who used to be a teacher, just taught me how to work. And yes, I've done public speaking in South Africa, Mozambique, India, and the United States. So, another little fun fact, which my teammates will definitely confirm. The Legos.
Yes.
We got to play with the Legos here. Well, play. And this is actually my fireplace mantle at home. That's just my current display of Legos. After we did our Yamazumi chart, where we figured out how we were going to structure the standard work for Legos. I know I have no idea how I'm going to get them home, but I went and bought several boxes of Legos that afternoon. I sat in my hotel room drinking and playing Legos. It was amazing. You should try it sometime. So first, I want to talk about expectations, because I had heard a little bit about this class. I'd never met anyone that had gone through it. All I knew is we were going to learn a lot of tools in this class. My mentor, my plant manager, Jose Osuna, he was like, this is going to be an amazing class for you. It's going to be really transformational. Awesome. Let's do this. So I flew in. I was ready to hit the ground running. Come Monday morning, I was ready to just punch things in the face and go. I realized very quickly that it wasn't quite what I had expected. What I was expecting was a whole bunch of tools. I'm gonna take all my tools back to my department in Kansas, and I'm gonna change everything, and it's gonna be amazing. Because that's just what I'm gonna do. By the way, I've been told that I can sometimes be a little forceful with people. I think it's just, I think I'm a nice, gentle guy, but apparently some people think I'm intimidating, and they tend to just do what I ask them to. But I realized very quickly, it wasn't just about these tools that we were running. I had never seen a Yamazu chart. I had a little bit of an MDI board at my facility. The first time I ever met Donnie, he was attending my MDI meeting, and he took one look at that and said, I can't tell what's going on here. And that is when I learned our MDI board was not up to standard. I had no idea. No idea. But knowing that I had no idea what the standard was and what all the, not understanding how to use all the tools just yet, I was super excited about that. But what I realized is just because I'm given these tools, it doesn't mean I'm useful. It's not just a matter of learning to use them. Case in point, this is totally me, by the way. With this hammer, I can put things together, I can knock things apart, I can alter my environment at will. And I can make an incredible amount of noise while I'm doing it. It's great to be a team leader. This is typically how I got stuff done. But Andy challenged us. And he said this many, many, many times throughout this class. How you do it is just as important as what you do. And I realized, after he said it probably the 5,000th time, that not only is how I do it as important, but how I do it is actually a direct reflection of who I am. We did talk about personality styles, leadership styles. We talked about conflict resolution. Like I said, some people have told me I tend to be a little bit forceful and I don't always have an open mind. Andy's personally challenged me on that a lot, about having an open mind. But prior to this class, my fallback would be, sure, I could agree with you, but I don't see the point in both of us being wrong. So, on the very first day of class, we listed our expectations. And I set the bar low on the expectations. That way, if I tripped over it, at least I made it. I said my expectations were I wanted to learn to, and how to, and what to coach and facilitate. That was it. It was very general, broad strokes. Can't read a whole lot into it. Give myself some wiggle room on whatever I need. But what really struck me was when Andy shared his expectations. And he said his expectation was actually a challenge to himself. Of that when we finish this course, every day we wake up, and before we get out of bed, put on our shoes, anything, we ask ourselves, who am I? And then we ask ourselves, who should I be? Who am I right now in this particular moment? And when I leave my house, and when I go out and I interact with the world, who should I be? And when I figure out who I should be, what can I do to help? What can I do to fulfill the needs of my team? That one struck a nerve there, like fulfill the needs of my team. Because I've tended to always look at, well, the team's there to fulfill the needs of the company. Kind of look at it backwards, right? Required a bit of a paradigm shift. I struggled over it for a few days. But the challenge that Andy put out to us of ask yourself every single day, who are you, who should you be, and what can you do to do all this, to recognize improvements. One of them I forgot to put up there was also reward effort. But if who I am now and who I should be are not the same, Andy's catchphrase, we've already heard it several times, it's what am I going to do different? I can't stay who I am if who I should be is over there.
Including.
So,
Huh? No, it's okay. Okay.
Can you go on mute, please? There's a star 7, please. Continue on.
so if who I am is over here and who I should be is over there, I need to change. I need to make a journey. I need to get from here to there. Yes, it's the far side, and this is, in case you can't, I see you looking at it, Brian, in case you can't see, yes, the fish has a baseball bat. And they knocked their baseball onto the land. So, the title of this is Great Moments in Evolution.
Hey, Anisha, can you undo that? We lost the audio.
Can you hear me now? And no, I'm not a Verizon customer?
Yes. Thank you.
So, if who I am is here and who I should be is over here, I've got to move. I've got to take a step from where I am and start moving in that right direction. But what is that right direction? Here's, by the way, I quote John Maxwell a lot because I really, really like him. I love his teachings. He said, anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. This last 6 weeks has been quite the course, and Andy has been quite the leader in guiding us on this journey. He talked about the 3 phases. I've got that next. It's the 3 phases of literally every situation. It's what I think it is, what it actually is, and what it should be. If you look at it, it's basically doing a gap analysis like on our 9 steps, right? When I got here, what I thought I was well on my way. I've been told for the last couple of years, I'm a really good lead. I do a great job. I make my boss proud. I know that I make him proud because he tells me you're doing a good job, and then he leaves me alone. So I thought I was there. In reality, I don't think the seed had even germinated yet. But by the end of this course, I know I'm definitely not there. I know that's where I should be. So I'm thinking the actuality of it, the reality is that I'm there no. Just a little sprout, if you will. And when we took a break for week 3 and we went back to talk with our teams, to create standard work, to use the actual tools, job breakdown sheets, our standardized work charts, the skills matrix, I was able to work with my team a lot in creating that. But already by week 3, when I was leaving, my mentor, Jose, pulled me aside before I flew back and he said, we're already getting comments of, when did Will drink the Kool-Aid? And what changed? So I know that there's already change being internalized in me, and that's amazing. I was very encouraged. I was talking to Andy and I said, this is really big to me, and it's also very encouraging to me because my company has spent a lot of time and money investing in me, flying me across the country to attend this course. And it's encouraging to me because I can see I'm already starting to repay that investment. But I need to make sure that I'm diligent to continue doing so. So when we got back for week 4, I was ready to just, let's get more of the tools. Let's get out on the floor and start doing some change out here so I can practice. So when I go back to Kent, I've already got it down pat. Again, I was about the let's do. Which I didn't know this prior to the beginning of the course. My mentor called Andy and said, you're going to have to rein in Will a lot because he's going to get about halfway through the sentence that you're saying. He's like, I got it, let's go do it. Have that person who does that. So our first day back on week 4. And that was the approximate size of the stack of books from the first 2 weeks. I was ready to jump back in though. But Andy stood up here and he said, very specifically, this course, the whole purpose of this, it's not about your MDI. It's not about your job breakdown sheets. It's not about how much you know. It's about who you are, or who I am. Who I am as a leader. Who I am as a coach. And more importantly, who I am as a servant. Because again, it comes back to who do I need to be in order to fulfill the needs of my team? I need to serve my team. You'd think that for a guy growing up in church his entire life, he would have actually listened when Jesus said, whoever wants to be greatest among you, let him be the servant. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. I've heard it a million times, it just didn't click. It did not click until I realized with what Andy was saying, that by being the servant to my team, that is how I empower my team. I can't stand above them pointing down at them and be like, you be empowered. It doesn't work. He also told us on that day when he was talking about who you're going to be as a leader, or as a coach, or as a servant. And he said, if you cannot get your team to give you their hearts and their minds, you're fighting a losing battle. We all know what a losing battle is.
I didn't tell him to do that.
So if I can engage my team, I can get them to give me their hearts and their minds, I can make progress, I can make changes. The only way that I can actually really do this is by being a servant leader. And here is another quote from John Maxwell. He who thinks he is a leader but has no one following is only taking a while. It's very true, because a lot of times I've noticed that in my department, I tell people that this needs to be done. Then I come back a few hours later, tell them it needs to be done before the end of the day. And then I come back at the end of the day and I do it. Because somehow it's just not important enough for them to listen. So then I kind of lose my patience. I don't shout. I just tell them, you're going to do it. I haven't, not at this company, but in a previous life, I haven't told an employee, if I have to raise my voice, I'm just going to quietly tell you you're fired. I don't raise my voice. I don't like yelling. I don't like being forceful. You'll just do it. I don't have to typically do that with my employees, but sometimes when they are having a bad day, you just gotta force them to do things. I've realized now that if my employee's having a bad day, I need to actually ask my employee, why are you having a bad day? What can I do to help? So that left me at a bit of a crossroads. Where do I go from here? I realize now that I need to be a servant leader. I realize now that I need to fulfill the needs of my team. I realize now that I've got a lot of changes to make. So here we are. How am I going to lead? Who am I? Who should I be? Where do I fall short? what am I gonna do differently? Again, it always comes back to, what do I need to be, and what am I gonna do to get there? So for that, I have 2 aha moments, just 2. And the very first one, when I do my mentoring sessions with Jose every Friday, he always asks me, what's an aha moment you had this week? And about 2 weeks ago, I was talking to him, and he said, what's your aha moment? And I thought about it. I didn't really want to say it because I hadn't quite figured out how to say it yet. But I eventually came up with it, and that is we have got to learn how to celebrate our failures. Because right now, the current culture in my department is if something fails, cover it up, work longer, throw the part away and get something new, lift heavier loads. Who cares about the ergonomics to get the job done? We cover our failures. We don't want to see them. We just want to get the job done. But if we identify our failures, it gives us the opportunity to improve. As I said earlier when I was talking about integrity, in identifying failures, we're actually exercising our core values. Integrity. We have got to admit. We've got to see it before we can admit it. So seeing our failures takes integrity. We have to hold ourselves to that standard, and you have got to see if you are maintaining that standard or not. Admitting it takes respect. You've got to respect the standard, and who makes the standard? We make the standard. So if my team makes my standard work, and I don't hold myself to my standard work, am I really showing my team respect? Tackling the problems requires teamwork. Solving the problems requires innovation. And then the final thing, you can solve the problem all you want, but if you don't act on it, which requires courage, you're not going to improve. It takes all of our core values to celebrate a failure and take a failure and turn it into an improvement. It's easier to go from failure to success than it is to go from excuses to success. We've got to celebrate our shortcomings as opportunities. And then finally, in order to change, I have to change me. I cannot force my team to change. But I can change myself. I can live the values. I can be a daily role model. I can strive to be an effective servant leader. I can ask my teammates every time I see them, what can I do to help? What needs do you have that I can fulfill? On our coaching model, asking thoughtful questions, being an incredible listener, building trust in relationships. It all starts with me changing me, not going back and being the forceful person that I used to be. It's me being the change that I want to see in my department. And with that one final thing, it's an old African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I need to not look at the product getting out the door or the job getting done as the prize. Because if I see that as the prize, that is what has value to me. That means I value my employees for what they can do for me, and I don't value them for who they are. If I don't value them for who they are, I cannot empower them. If I don't value them for who they are, they will not bring up their failures. If I only value them for what they can do, it's going to stay status quo, and it's not working. So I have to change the way I act and the way I think and the way I believe, because I have to